The rain pattered softly against the window of Mia's tiny apartment, tucked in a noisy corner of the city. At 25, Mia felt like life was slipping through her fingers. She worked long shifts as a barista, pouring coffee for people who seemed to have it, all fancy cars, designer bags, and carefree smiles. Her paycheck barely covered rent, utilities, and a few groceries. By the end of each month, her bank account was a sad $12.47, and her dreams of opening a bakery felt like a childish fantasy. Tonight, though, something stirred in her. She stood on her cramped balcony, the city's skyscrapers glittering in the distance like a promise she couldn't reach. Her hands were cold, clutching a chipped mug of tea, when she noticed a bright yellow flyer that had slipped under her door. It read, "Unlock the Secrets of Financial Freedom Seminar this Friday." The words financial freedom seemed to glow, whispering hope. Mia's heart skipped a beat. She'd heard the term before, but it always felt like something for other people, rich people, lucky people, not someone like her. She picked up the flyer, her fingers tracing the bold letters. Could this be her chance? A way to escape the endless cycle of bills and exhaustion. Doubt crept in. She wasn't smart with money, and seminars like this were probably scams. But then she thought of her mother, who'd worked 2 jobs her whole life and still had nothing to show for it. Mia didn't want that future. She wanted more choices, more time, more life. With a deep breath, Mia tucked the flyer into her pocket. The seminar was in 2 days. She didn't know what financial freedom meant, but she was determined to find out. As the city lights flickered below, she felt a spark of courage. Maybe, just maybe, this was the beginning of something big. Mia's stomach churned with nerves as she stepped into the sleek downtown hotel where the Financial Freedom Seminar was held. The lobby was all glass and marble, filled with people in sharp suits and polished shoes. In her faded jeans and scuffed sneakers, Mia felt like she'd wandered into the wrong place. But the yellow flyer in her pocket gave her courage. She took a deep breath and found a seat at the back of the crowded conference room, her heart racing with a mix of hope and doubt. The lights dimmed, and a woman stepped onto the stage. She was in her 40s, with warm brown eyes and a confident smile. "Good evening," she said, her voice clear and strong. "I'm Clara, and tonight, I'm going to show you what financial freedom really means." Mia leaned forward, pencil in hand, ready to take notes. Clara's words were like a lifeline. "Financial freedom isn't about being a millionaire," she said. "It's about having enough money to make choices. To quit a job you hate. To travel the world. To live without fear of bills piling up." Mia's mind raced. She'd never thought of money that way. To her, money was something that disappeared: rent, groceries, the occasional coffee. But Clara painted a different picture. She described a life where money worked for you, not against you. "Imagine waking up knowing you don't have to check your bank account before buying groceries," Clara said. "That's freedom." Mia scribbled furiously, her notebook filling with words like savings, investing, and passive income. They sounded like a foreign language, but Clara made them feel possible. Clara shared a story about a young man she'd met years ago. He was a waiter, barely making ends meet, but he learned to save a little each month and invest it wisely. 10 years later, he owned a small restaurant and traveled every summer. He wasn't rich, Clara said, but he was free. Mia's chest tightened. She wanted that a life where she could open her bakery, bake cupcakes all day, and maybe even see Paris one day. But doubt whispered in her ear. "You're just a barista, you don't even have savings." As the seminar ended, the room buzzed with excitement. People crowded around Clara, asking questions. Mia hesitated, clutching her notebook. She wanted to talk to Clara, to ask how someone like her could even start. But the crowd was thick, and her shyness held her back. Just as she turned to leave, Clara's voice called out, "You, in the blue hoodie. Stay for a moment." Mia froze, realizing Clara was talking to her. Her heart pounded. What did this woman see in her? As the room emptied, Mia took a shaky step forward, the flyer still burning a hole in her pocket. Mia stood frozen in the emptying conference room, her blue hoodie suddenly feeling too warm. Clara, the seminar speaker, waved her over with a smile that felt like a warm hug. "You look like someone ready for a change," Clara said, her voice kind but direct. Mia stammered, I want to learn." Clara nodded, as if she'd heard those words 100 times. "Let's talk," she said, pointing to a small cafe across the street. Mia's legs felt shaky as she followed, clutching her notebook like a lifeline. At the cafe, the smell of fresh coffee filled the air. Clara ordered 2 cappuccinos and leaned forward, her eyes sparkling. "Before I teach you anything," she said, "you need to know where I came from." Mia listened, spellbound, as Clara shared her story. 20 years ago, Clara was a single mother, 29 years old, with a toddler and a mountain of debt. She worked as a cashier by day and cleaned offices at night, barely sleeping. "I thought that was my life," Clara said, her voice soft. "Work, struggle, repeat." Then she met Henry, a retired millionaire who owned the office building she cleaned. Henry wasn't flashy, no fancy cars or gold watches. He was quiet, with sharp eyes and a habit of asking questions. One night, he saw Clara crying over a pile of bills. Instead of walking away, he sat down and said, "You're stronger than you think. Let me show you how to build a better life." Henry became her mentor, teaching her the secrets of wealth. He wasn't born rich, Clara said. He started as a mechanic, but he learned to save, invest, and think differently about money. Mia's eyes widened. "How did he do it?" she asked. Clara smiled. "Discipline and choices." He saved half his income, even when it was small. He invested in things that grew over time, like stocks and real estate. But most importantly, he believed anyone could do it, even me. Clara paused, sipping her coffee. "Henry's lessons turned my life around. I paid off my debt, started a small business, and now I help others do the same." Mia felt a rush of hope, but doubt lingered. "I'm not like you," she said quietly. "I don't even have savings." Clara leaned closer. "You're exactly where I was, hungry for change. That's enough to start." She pulled out a pen and wrote one word in Mia's notebook. "Begin." "I'll mentor you," Clara said, "but it's hard work. Are you ready?" Mia's heart raced. She thought of her tiny apartment, her empty bank account, and her dream of a bakery. This was her chance. "I'm ready," she said, her voice stronger than she felt. Clara grinned. "Good, meet me here next week. We're going to change your life." Mia arrived at the cozy cafe a week later, her stomach fluttering with excitement and nerves. The smell of fresh pastries greeted her as she spotted Clara at a corner table, a notebook and a calculator waiting. Clara's smile was all encouragement. "Ready to master your money?" she asked, sliding the notebook toward Mia. Mia nodded, gripping her pencil. She'd spent the week thinking about Clara's story, about Henry, the millionaire mentor, and about her own dream of a bakery. Today, she was determined to take her first real step. Clara started with a simple rule. Know where your money goes. She asked Mia to list every expense from the past month. Mia hesitated, embarrassed, but Clara's calm gaze made her feel safe. She wrote down rent, groceries, bus fares, and then smaller things: coffee, takeout, a new pair of socks. When they added it up, Mia gasped. "I spent $120 on takeout," she said, her cheeks flushing. Clara didn't judge. "Most people don't realize how much the little things cost," she said. "But now you know. That's power." Next, Clara taught Mia to budget. "Think of your money like ingredients for a recipe," she said. "You decide how much goes to each part of your life." She showed Mia how to split her barista paycheck: 50% for necessities like rent and food, 20% for savings, 20% for wants like coffee, and 10% for giving or emergencies. Mia frowned. "Savings? I barely have anything left." Clara's eyes twinkled. "Start small. Even $20 a month adds up." Mia did the math. $20 a month was $240 a year. It wasn't a fortune, but it was more than she'd ever saved. Then came the big lesson: investing. Clara explained that saving was like planting a seed, but investing made it grow. "Money in a bank barely earns interest," she said. but money in the right investments can double, triple, even more. She introduced Mia to index funds, safe, low-cost ways to invest in the stock market. Think of it like owning a tiny piece of hundreds of companies, Clara said. She showed Mia a chart of how $100 invested today could grow to $400 in 20 years with compound interest. Mia's jaw dropped. "That's like magic," she whispered. Clara laughed. "It's just time and patience." By the end of their meeting, Mia felt like her brain was buzzing. She'd cut out daily takeout, promising to cook at home, and set up a savings account to deposit $50 a month. Clara handed her a book on investing, saying, "Read this. Next week, we'll talk about making your money work harder." As Mia left the cafe, the evening air felt lighter. She looked at the city lights, imagining her $50 growing, bit by bit, into a future where she could bake cupcakes in her own shop. For the first time, financial freedom didn't feel like a dream, it felt like a plan. 6 months had passed since Mia's first meeting with Clara, and her life was already shifting. Her savings account held $300, a small but proud victory, and she'd started investing $25 a month in an index fund. But as she sat with Clara in their usual cafe, the smell of cinnamon rolls in the air, Clara leaned forward with a new challenge. "One income stream is a trap," she said. "To build real freedom, you need multiple ways to earn." Mia blinked, confused. Her barista job was exhausting enough. How could she do more? Clara saw her hesitation. "You love baking, right?" she asked. Mia nodded, her eyes lighting up. She'd always dreamed of a bakery, but it felt so far away. "Start small," Clara said. "Sell your cupcakes on the side." Mia's heart raced with doubt. She wasn't a businesswoman, but Clara's confidence was contagious. "You don't need a shop yet," Clara said. "Just bake, sell, and learn." That weekend, Mia baked a dozen chocolate cupcakes and offered them to her coworkers. To her shock, they sold out in an hour, earning her $30. Encouraged, Mia set up a simple online page to take orders. Soon, she was baking every weekend, earning $200 a month. Clara clapped when Mia shared the news. "That's one new stream," she said. "Now let's add another." She suggested Mia use her love of food in a different way, writing recipes for blogs. Mia had never considered it, but she gave it a try, submitting a piece to a small food website. They paid her $50 for it. With Clara's help, Mia learned to pitch ideas and negotiate rates. By the next month, she was writing 2 articles a week, adding $150 to her income. Mia's days were busier, but she felt alive. She still worked at the coffee shop, but now she had 3 income streams: her job, her cupcake sales, and her freelance writing. As she walked home one evening, the city lights glowing, she realized something. She wasn't just surviving anymore, she was building something. Clara's words echoed in her mind. Multiple streams create a river of possibilities. Mia smiled, ready for whatever Clara would teach her next. A year had passed since Mia found that yellow flyer under her door. And as she stood on her tiny apartment balcony, the city lights seemed to shine just for her. At 26, Mia was no longer the barista scraping by. Her savings account now held $5,000. Her cupcake business brought in $500 a month, and her freelance recipe writing had grown into a steady $400 monthly gig. She'd quit her coffee shop job 3 months ago, trading long shifts for the freedom to work on her passions. She wasn't rich, but she felt something better, free. Mia's journey with Clara had transformed her. She thought back to their last meeting, when Clara handed her a small journal and said, "Write your dreams here, then make them real." Clara's final lesson wasn't about money, it was about courage. "Wealth isn't just dollars," Clara had said, her voice steady. "It's the bravery to chase what matters to you." Mia had written one dream in that journal. Open a bakery. It still felt big, but no longer impossible. Her savings and income streams were the foundation, and every cupcake she sold felt like a brick in that dream's walls. As Mia looked at the skyscrapers, she pulled the yellow flyer from her pocket. It was creased and faded now, but she kept it pinned to her fridge as a reminder. That one small choice to attend a seminar had changed everything. She'd learned to budget, invest, and build multiple income streams, but more than that, she'd learned to believe in herself. Clara's stories about Henry, the millionaire mentor, echoed in her mind. Anyone could build wealth with discipline and action. Mia was proof of that. She smiled, imagining her future bakery, with its warm lights and the smell of fresh vanilla. The journey wasn't over, there were still challenges ahead, but Mia felt ready. She tucked the flyer away and whispered to the city, "I'm just getting started." What's your first step toward financial freedom? Maybe it's saving $10 a month, starting a side hustle, or learning a new skill. Share your dreams in the comments below, we'd love to hear them. If this story inspired you, give it a like, subscribe to Speak Fast English for more, and share it with a friend who needs a spark. Let's build a community of dreamers, chasing freedom together.